what we want to talk about today is the big picture. I think it's difficult and challenging, obviously, when we find ourselves hearing and learning so much about what it is that we need to do and how we need to grow our organizations. And kind of getting the big picture is really, really helpful in enabling us to be able to do what it is that we really want to do. And there's really value in perspective. And when we see a big challenge, it's always important to see the big picture. And obviously the work that we're doing is a big challenge. It's challenging what it is that we do in development. The big picture includes our response to what we do, why we do it, and how we go about doing it, and who does what. Those are things that obviously all of us are dealing with in the context of our ministry. In the pyramid, and it's always been a great tool for us to be able to really show the full dimension of what it is that development is all about. And there are really four aspects of this that I really want to talk about in the context of our time together today. First of all, we need to know mission and vision, and that's four different areas of the area of development that we're going to be talking about. There are four things that we do, and let's kind of show them out here on the screen. You know, first of all, mission. Mission is at the foundation of what it is that we do. Mission statements basically are a series of clauses that are separated by commas. Habitat for Humanity, for example, is an organization I've been a part of for the last several years. And their mission statement goes something to the effect of this: that we work in partnership with God and people everywhere, comma, to build and renovate homes, comma, to build community, comma, so that people can become all that God intended for them to be. That's their mission. And every organization needs to have a mission and a purpose. And so the mission of Habitat for Humanity is quite clear, and that virtually drives everything that they do. And one of the challenges that I really want to present to you is the fact that we really need to be involved in understanding, not just knowing the mission. We should be able to share it with anyone. Maybe the elevator conversation that you have, you know, tell us what you do, and all of a sudden you're saying, okay, this is what it is we do. And in the case of Habitat for Humanity, we work in partnership with everywhere, with people from every organization to build, renovate, and enable people to really grow in their relationship with one another. So the next thing that we want to talk about is vision. And we're going to talk about this later in the session. But vision equals mission accomplished. And so if you're using the fact that, you know, here's our mission and here's our vision. And those are the two very, very important things that make up the full picture of what it is that development is all about. On the left-hand side of the screen, you see strategic plan. That's an important part of what it is that we need to do in order to be able to grow our organization. We need to have a strategic plan. But if you had mission, and if you had vision, and if you had a strategic plan, the realities are you still could fail as an organization because something is missing there. And what is missing there is basically the development plan. In other words, you need to have a plan to make sure that the resources that you need in order to be able to accomplish your strategic plan are going to be realized. We're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later. But I really want to talk a little bit about mission statement in greater detail. A mission statement is a, whoops, let me go back. A mission statement is brief, and gotta move my, there we go. A mission statement is a brief description that states the purpose of your organization. We've talked about the Habitat situation and their mission statement, but the realities are, you know, you have a mission statement, and your mission statement really drives or needs to drive what it is that you do. We did something, you know, very successfully in our organization a number of years ago. It was actually introduced by the president of the organization. He asked me to come to his office along with other vice presidents and basically explain to us what the mission statement was all about. And then he gave us an assignment. This is an assignment that you might want to consider yourself. But the assignment that he gave to us, he says, I want you to know in the role that you play in the organization, all of you hold a role in your organization. I want you to come back and tell me what you, in your role in this organization, what you were going to do this year. And so, I want you to come back and in a couple of days. And so I did that. I kind of came up with, this is what it is that I'm going to do within my organization. And I came back, I showed it to the president. He says, well, you know, that's not good enough. He says, it's too general. I want to know what it is specifically that you're going to do in your organization this year in order to grow the ministry. Well, he came back again. He says, I came back again, or he says, go back and come back again. And I did. Eventually he came up with a statement. He says, this is what it is that you're going to do. He signed off on it. I signed off on it. He put it into the employee folder, and we went on. Well, I had 12 or 15 people working in my organization. And what it is that I was asked to do was to say, okay, in the role that you play, if you're the annual fund director in that role, this is what it is that you need to do. I want you to know, I want you to tell me what it is that you're going to do this year in your particular role that's going to enable us to complete and to fulfill this mission. So they did the same thing. They came back with me at first, and I said, no, it's not good enough. Go back again. And we did it again. And the realities are, at the end of the day, everybody within the organization, including not only the president, not only the vice presidents, not only the faculty, not only the staff, not only even the custodians and everybody that was involved, basically was asked to do the same thing. And what it brought to us is a sense of community, that we were together working and making a difference and really growing an organization. And it changed the whole part of what it is that was so important to our success. So it is generally a series of clauses. This is the mission statement. It needs to be concise and understandable. It needs to be shared and promoted to others. And the statement includes something that basically tells you who you are, what you do, and where you intend to go, and what you do and why you do it, and articulates the ultimate purpose for why you exist. So the sample mission statement, I'm not going to go over that just by virtue of the fact of the time that we have remaining. But I'd like to complete you with one more statement, and that's the word vision. Okay, we talked about mission. Mission is very, very important to the organization. You understand that. It really changed our whole area of life, you know, when we, as an organization, when we had everybody in the organization all on the same piece of music, all determined to do what it is that they could do in order to fulfill the mission to which we've committed ourselves. Now, the second aspect of that, if you have that pyramid still in front of you, is vision, and that's at the top of the pyramid. And at the top of the pyramid, basically, vision equals mission accomplished. In other words, if we were to be totally successful in what it is that we've committed ourselves to do, what would it look like at the end of the day? What is your vision for an organization? I've been thrilled and had the opportunity in many, many organizations to come to them and to essentially share vision with others. And you know, one of the great stories that I have is a story of Bill Bright. Some of you would recognize Bill's name because he was the president and founder of Habitat for Humanity. And not Habitat for Humanity, but Campus Crusade for Christ and Crew. And Bill had a great vision for what it is that he really wanted to see happen. In 1978, he said, I want to make sure that by the year 2000, this was in 1978, 22 years before, he says, by the year 2000, I want to make sure that virtually everyone has the opportunity of seeing the Jesus film in their own language. I mean, that was a huge, huge vision. And I had the privilege of being a part of that process for the 22 years in which it was involved. And basically we had the desire to make sure that everyone had the opportunity of seeing the Jesus film. And that was a great vision. It was very, very invigorating. We all caught the vision. And what happened obviously was a very, very successful program that by the year 2000, you know, virtually everyone within the context of the ministry was all of those countries had basically received opportunities to give to see the Jesus film in their own language. I think there are 23 people, 23 organizations just in the organization development and fundraising network. And within that, you know, I think almost, if there was a raise of hands, I can't even see that in my screen. But if there's a raise of hands, in fact, if you have known or if you had experienced the Jesus film, would you just raise your hand? I think there are at least a number of you that have seen that. And that was because a man had a vision. What is your vision for the future? What do you want your organization to look like 10 years from now? What's going to be different about your organization? And I think, focusing on vision is going to be extremely important. So those two things are important, but there's still two things that are missing. Well, on the left-hand side, you see the strategic plan. And the strategic plan is the steps that we need to take in order to get from where we are to where it is we need to be. And so in the case of the example of Bill Bright and the Jesus Film Project, there were 22 steps. And so you could look at the left-hand side and you could do 22 steps that took us from where we were, to where we were going. And so step one, we were translating the Jesus film in India and China and some of the really large populations that they would have the opportunity of being able to see the Jesus film in their own language. But by the 22nd year, we were actually showing or experiencing, this last year, we were working in places like Papua New Guinea and places in the Amazon valleys and so forth of Brazil. And basically that was the strategic plan. And so you need to have a plan for the future. We're going to talk about strategic planning only because it's an important part of what it is that we really need to do. So the steps that take us on the left-hand side basically are going to help us to achieve the vision. But it's still not enough, because the realities are you could have a great mission, you could have a great vision, you could have a great strategic plan. But if you don't have a development plan to support what it is that you're doing on the strategic plan side, then the realities are it's going to collapse. I'm going to do a session later on in the forum, I think it's later on today, where basically I'm going to talk about why strategic plans fail. Because 90%, interestingly enough, of strategic plans fail. They fail because basically we have a great plan. There's nothing wrong with the plan. We have a great mission. It's nothing wrong with the mission. And certainly the vision is compelling. But if we don't have the resources in order to be able to accomplish the strategic plan, the realities are it all collapses. So it's very important that we understand how this whole picture really plays together. On the development plan, there are just a few areas. In order to have a successful development plan, you need time, you need money, and you need the involvement of others. And we certainly need the involvement of the Lord Jesus Christ in our work. So the development plan is something that we really need to do, and that needs to be focused on. I was with an organization not too long ago in Texas, and I was sitting there talking with a group of people that are a part of this organization that's just associated with the Wycliffe Bible translators. In the middle of the meeting, a gentleman came in to the office and he says, Jerry, he says, I heard you speak 25 years ago. And I'm thinking like 25 years ago. He says, I remember you speaking 25 years ago. I said, what did I say? Did you remember anything? He says, the one thing I remembered was the fact of that pyramid, because that pyramid showed to me in a broad picture that these are the things that need to happen in order for us to get from here to there. And when that was, when we realized that, then we realized that we could do this.